Everybody, I want to focus on a couple things in this video. First one, the banter game has been really repetitive in the last few videos. I haven't really had any topics. I've just been focused on the finishing the piece, which is fine. But rather than focusing on any specific topic, I want to focus on, I guess, the nature and the attitude I want to have when recording these videos. Now, when I was, learning a little bit about Bob Ross through some documentaries, the way he speaks to the viewer, he wants to feel as if he's speaking to one person in an intimate room, teaching one person, showing one person how to paint, and almost being like too intimate in a way, with Bob Ross. I don't want that to be my style. That's a little bit weird for me, but what I want to do instead is I'm a Catholic, and I've spoken about this a lot on my channel, and I'm not gonna try to convert every single person that comes across my channel. That's not really the point. But to share love, to share the love that emanates from within, when someone really has the presence of Christ, that's what I really want. But what does that mean for you? Like, if you're not a believer, that's completely fine. But what I want for you is that the Lord said, not the Lord said, Saint Irenaeus said, the glory of God is man fully alive, is a human being fully alive. And I want to enrich the life of the person listening. That if there's anything missing in your life, if there's anything lacking, that we can fill that void and set you free to be able to do the things that you really want to do, and to do the things that you didn't even know that you wanted to do. Now, I believe, do I have the secret to life? I would say, in a way, yes. Not because I'm living that secret, not because I have the secret myself, but because I think there's a lot of wisdom that can be derived from really engaging with the truth. And I believe that the truth is God. But we'll see. If you don't, then that's completely fine. We want to engage with the truth. We want to engage with love. And we want to engage with richness of life. Second thing, back to the drawing, is that I want to focus on doing a fourth pass. And like I said, I learned from this other artist that you can do multiple passes and still have a great result. I would often stop myself at 3 at most, just because I wanted to be time efficient. But speed up by slowing down. Focus on accuracy rather than speed. And I just want to focus on having a nice, clean line art layer. And if it's not to my satisfaction, if the third one isn't to my satisfaction, may as well do a fourth. May as well continue to refine to get a maximum result. So I'm going to make this. We can even do a fifth. The main thing is that I want it to look good to my standard while keeping efficient time. So what I'm going to do now is go into Opus Inker 2, which is my inking brush. I'm going to stay on black, and we're just going to get in there and start refining. So I've already kind of done this character, but we have my brush now, and we're gonna I guess we can remove the reference now because I pretty much know what they look like. We can always bring it back if I'm lost, but and to make any corrections, and I can just do this, bring up the layer like this if I have any issues, and we can always change it too. But yeah, we're gonna do a whole new layer this time instead of airbrushing over and going over the old one. So I'm just gonna, I have a very nice brush that I like, and what I'm gonna do is use the same brush as an eraser. Actually though, I like to use Opus Inker 1 as the eraser, just because it still has a similar edge, but it has such a nice smooth flow to it, my inking brush. Don't want it to be too thick. It's so nice. However, I want to focus on not on doing too much either. That's kind of like my bane. So let's speed up by slowing down rather than trying to get too much of the flow of the line. Let's try to get the just get the lines in the right places. I moved that one because I knew that part had to be bigger. Another thing too, I want the eyelashes to be a little bit thicker too. gonna use that edge of the eraser to yeah, here we go. So we're really doing line art now. And we're gonna take our time with this because I think the color might not take too long. Okay, so going back to what I was saying earlier, I want to just imagine, I guess, that you, the viewer, are here with me. You know, like, sometimes I treat these videos like a journal. Like I'm just sharing my own thoughts, thinking out loud, expanding on them. But I noticed that, I mean, I have a friend who's almost like a brother to me here that I see from time to time. I'm parked outside of the church, a church that I like to attend, just because I like being here. And if, you know, let's say after one of these sessions I want to go in and pray, I might do that. But I have a friend that I see here fairly often, almost every time I drop by here. I'm surprised I wouldn't be surprised if he's here right now at the church. I just don't see his car. But every time I see him, I end up sharing some stuff that I learned, and we have a nice discussion. We both read a lot. We both like to pray. Kind of both disconnected from our old friend group and kind of just mostly speak to each other. And we both have like similar interests. So I end up sharing with him a bunch of the stuff I've been thinking about. And I share that with you too, like my books that I've been reading, With God in Russia by Walter Ciszek. But there's so much density in each one that's like, how do I break it down? Let's say you, the viewer, are here on my channel for the first time, and I want to share this thing with you. I don't even know what your life is. You know, I don't know what your life is like. So it's like I have to speak to this general person, this human being that has needs, and I don't know what they are. And it's not that I'm here to fulfill your needs, but I'm here to share something with you. So how do I share my life and my faith and my musings as if you're a friend, or someone that I'd like to, I don't know, share with? Well, then I just have to think of people's general needs. What does everybody need? Everybody needs food. Everybody needs money. There's one thing I've been thinking about, like, what does it mean to be rich? Here's one thing. As I've disconnected myself from a lot of media, YouTube, movies, music, games, I've disconnected myself with a lot of it. And one thing I've learned is that when you go back to it, everything's kind of the same. You go back to movies, you know, there's some new story arc and some new characters, and maybe they're interesting, but ultimately there's a lot of the archetypes and myths are still the same. You know, I think about Bishop Barron and Jordan Peterson's conversation about, you know, the mythic journey, the hero's journey, and so there are truths spoken in these stories, quote unquote truths, even in fictional stories, that are spoken through fiction. Truth spoken through fiction. What does that mean? It means that in Harry Potter and in the Odyssey, you know, I've never read that, but I know it's considered a classic. In, you know, the MCU, you have this trend of the hero's journey. You know, the hero's journey is very visible in like Naruto. You know, it's there. It's part of the human condition that type of story is just going to resonate with all generations. So that's what I see when I go back to fiction, or when I see, you know, headlines or whatever, or YouTube front page articles or trailers of new stories. It's like when I was sitting in on a class yesterday. I had a substitute teaching role yesterday, and I was sitting in on a class, and the main teacher had put on a movie, and it was called Pete's Dragon. And I was watching the plot of the movie. I'm like, okay, this is exactly the same as Iron Giant. I don't want to, comment on if it was worse or better, because Iron Giant is, I would be biased because Iron Giant is one of my favorite movies of all time. But it's the same thing. A kid goes into the wilderness, finds a creature. The creature is harmless to children, to him, protected him. He made a great friend out of it. But the people outside are afraid of it. They don't understand it. Therefore, it's a big monster. Therefore, they want to kill it, subdue it, study it, control it, because of fear. And the kid, and his family protect the beast. I never even finished the movie, but I knew it was the same thing. It's not the hero. I don't know. I wouldn't say it's the hero's journey, but it's a different type of archetype. Kid discovers a gentle giant in the forest. And that's it's interesting. It's a universal tale, and it's going to be retold. It's going to be retold again 30 years from now. There's going to be some story about like a big bear or some kind of a giant owl or whatever. It's going to happen again. So I don't really know what I'm getting at. Why I want to share this with you. It's just a trend that I notice. It's a trend that I notice when kind of getting away from the media and coming back to it again. Like this, for example. I have no problem doing commissions like this for people, who enjoy their OCs. In the past I had a lot of OCs. The stories that they want to tell. Personal expression with these characters. It's great, it's fun. But ultimately, when it comes to these designs, I start to notice the trends. They're all, some version of an anime girl with, some version of the various influences placed on its design. The idea of a fantasy elven mage that I want to role play as, something like that, or this girl with mouse ears or fox ears or wolf ears or cat ears, and I want to role play as her. That's been done, since D&D, and I'm sure many years before that. I'm sure even thousands of years before that. Same thing. And I'm sure it doesn't take deep psychology to look into like the why. I mean, it's fun. It's playful. It helps us understand ourselves. And I guess what I'm getting at is that it's almost as if I'm done with fiction, or that I don't feel a need to go back. I'm sure there's plenty of fiction that can still enrich me. I haven't read The Lord of the Rings. I listened to the audiobook. I'm sure there's so much literary depth in fiction that I could still find, especially in the deeper stuff, like Dostoevsky. I've never read him. Bishop Barron recommends often Flannery O'Connor. There's all sorts of fiction, I'm sure, that can still be quite enriching and will lead me as a reader to truths that I wouldn't have otherwise recognized. But, the non-fiction life is hard enough, is what I'm finding, that I have no need for it anymore. So I was a video game addict. Once an addict, always an addict, right? So I am a video game addict. I don't play anymore. I'm sober. And that was one of several behavioral addictions that I would suffer from. And it became video games so ingrained in me that I could see them and play them in my head. Especially the ones that the more time I spent on them, the more I can see the game in my head. I can just see it in my head and play it if I so desired. Or even involuntarily, like memories of the games will pop up, they'll play in my head, and I'll have to catch it and stop it. That's like a big issue for me nowadays. It's tough. But when I think about it, it's like, okay, each of these games had infinite complexity. I tried to master that complexity. And even when you do master that complexity, you come to a plateau, like, of my personal skill level. And then you can work out the kinks and continue to study the game and continue to master the game and practice until you, raise your skill level. And then if the game has some way to create a zero-sum game against another opponent, you allow yourself to compete, which I did, went to tournaments, and pit my own personal development against someone else's, and whoever's is more sophisticated will win. And then I could feel that pride of victory and get the prize or whatever, and then repeat ad infinitum, because that's what it became, ad infinitum. That looks nice. I'm gonna check the that's pretty close. The hair is a little bit more layered as far as the waviness goes. I might even add another strand that kind of goes into the face just to keep that rhythm, and then a couple more strands in the back that but yeah, I think it was worth it doing this fifth pass, because I'm really focused on the quality of the lines. And I think this will definitely be a final pass for me, because I think this is good enough. It's the way it's resulting is good enough. So it's worth it to take that time for accuracy. So what was I talking about? Truth, Hero's Journey, media, games. Oh yeah, I've talked about this before. The complexity with which the game holds. Ultimately, there's probably some kind of mechanical plateau in that game, or the games are infinitely complex, so never mind. They are infinitely complex, but there comes a point where the problem solving time and practice dedicated to the game may as well be converted to real life skills. And blessed are those, I'll use that phrase, blessed are those that already were doing that. It's so easy for me as a young person and kids nowadays to get caught up in the game. And because it's infinitely complex, it's probably infinitely beautiful to that child in some way, with beauty being the complexity and potential for self-expression in that game and the fun of it. There's just so much. But now, blessed are those who didn't get caught up in that. And for me now, it's I gotta take the complexity of life and apply those same problem-solving skills to real-life problems. Again, the many skills I learned: working under pressure, resource management, the natural rock, paper, scissors that happens with zero-sum games, the mini-max and the maxim-min strategy about reward and punishment, stuff like that. And I can go over each one, but it's let's apply this to YouTube, right? If YouTube itself was its own little game, for me, it is. I don't really get a ton of views. And what would gain me a ton of views? Having valuable videos that were entertaining, useful. I don't know. Without thinking about specific traits of a good YouTube video, generally it would be for one reason or another, the viewer chose this video and give attention to over other videos. This brush is very satisfying to do line art with. If you're interested in this brush, let me know in the comments and maybe I can send it to you. It's really good. Okay, we're gonna get this sleeve in. So considering the pace of this, I'm not sure how many hours it will take for me to finish this line art. So I think it's important for me to maybe stop this video soon and kind of get a time check. But I think the pace is still pretty decent. And we're gonna keep the color super simple for this one. I mean, I could, well, hold on. I could still, I mean, trust the process, right? Because from the Holy Family painting I was doing, digital painting, I did learn, you know, a better technique. So, I mean, we could try just employing it, you know, get each of these commissions to our maximum skill level while keeping time. And by time, I mean making sure my dollars per hour before finishing this piece is worth it. But it's looking good so far. I guess I'll thin out the contour of the eyes so that I can get in there in the color layer and just make it fancier. Get a nice border over there for the tongue. And then let's start getting proper line art for the hand. So here we can, you know, start finding the anatomy. I'm gonna stay kind of zoomed out so I don't get too particular. Never been the best with hands, but we'll try to make these look pretty good. Let's get them a little pointier, I guess. As if maybe there's a little bit of pointy nail there. These fingers got a little bit kind of hot doggy. So I guess the ultimate goal, I mean, I'm probably not achieving it with this video yet, but the ultimate goal is for, like, if someone watches my video, they'll come in here and just emerge a better person. How's that possible? How's that possible? Would I need some kind of secret sauce? No, I don't have a secret sauce, but I have a formula given to me by the wisdom and church tradition over thousands of years. And thanks to its great writers and doctors, and they call them doctors of the church when they really add something, you know, healing to the church tradition by their example and by their teachings. Let's strengthen the stretch of this thumb, so we'll pull it back even more. Wow, this guy's been on his leaf blower for like hours now. There's a guy outside. I know this guy. But it looks like the groundskeepers of this place are, like, really thorough. Okay. That'll do. You know, I'm not sure how good the anatomy is there. I mean, the flesh of the thumb looks a little weird. The way the pinky's sticking out is a little weird. I might move the pinky in. Might move it down. Yeah, that's better. Pinky. Okay, that'll do. Okay. This little emblem, I need to look at the reference for it. I guess the shape is right. I just need to make it look, you know, a little bit cleaner now. So, and I might change the color of the line art later too. Whoa, I was on the wrong color. Trying to get that angular look. How big are the little wings? Tiny little wings. Oh, but they are more pointy than how I have them, so let's make them more pointy, longer. And the head, I mean, it's a bird head, I guess, but it's kind of like diamond shaped here on the head. For time's sake, I'm going to end this video soon. And again, these videos, I want to address, you know, the needs, the spiritual need of the person listening. It's more than likely that you already have everything you need to be happy and to be rich. And what I mean by rich, you know what I mean by rich. Like, that's what it means to be rich, is to have everything you need. To me. Because there are people, and believe it or not, there are people who are billionaires, millionaires, who are not satisfied with life because their needs, or their own stated needs, or the things that they believe they need, are more than what they have. I'm not saying that it's just gratitude alone is what's going to make you rich. I mean, that's a part of it, but there's more to it than that. Maybe we'll talk about a little bit in the next video. So this is looking very nice. It's very refined in comparison to the layer below. So we'll keep that standard and we'll call it from here, and we'll get into our next video. Talk to you guys later. God bless. Bye-bye.